Yogi Triathlete just launched a brand new website. We have unrolled Squad. Squad is a virtual group coaching community like no other in the endurance sports space. We've got years of amazing content in there. Yoga for athletes, mobility classes, racecourse recons. We've got training plans from ultra marathons to Ironman, everything in between. We have a group coaching call every month. We have live streams, live classes, so much stuff in there, and a great community of people who are awake and ready. You will never have to train alone again with this virtual community. 7-day free trial. Get over there right now. Sign up for it. We'll see you in Squad. Namaste.
We were on a bike ride and we were doing hills and we did it twice. And I was honest that if I did it a third time, I'd probably throw up on my bike. And I don't remember if it was 1 mile. I don't remember.
It was 1 mile. Yeah. Okay. College.
Felt
college
like 5, but it was 1 mile. And I wanted to muscle it because that's what I like to do and just crank it into a gear that I could just muscle my way up. And you're like, nope, we're going to do really high cadence and we're going to beam it up this hill, spinning your legs the whole time. And I started whining like a baby and I was huffing. And you said, don't wish this moment away. And I stopped and you're like, just smell the air, or just smell, like, just be here. And I just took this big gulp of air in and it was all jasmine. And I stopped and realized that I'm in California riding the coast with these amazing people. Like, no, I don't want to wish this away. And that has stuck with me in absolutely all day yesterday. Is don't wish this away. Look around, feel the wind. Like I would cry. It was just feel the water. It wasn't about being the fastest or the best. It was about feeling what was possible and being one with something that was much greater than myself. It was incredible.
Welcome to the Yogi Triathlete podcast, where we delve into the heart of endurance, the power of the mind, and the strength of community. My name is Jess, and today we continue our IMAZ First Timers series with Laura DeGroot, a proud member of Team Yogi Triathlete, coached under our very own master coach and co-host for this show, BJ Gumkowski. Laura is an accomplished coach, athlete, and business owner with over 24 years of experience guiding athletes of all abilities from beginners to top competitors towards their goals. A certified sports performance coach, yoga coach, and CrossFit Level 1 coach, Laura's athletic background is as diverse as it is impressive, competing in Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, CrossFit, and figure. Now she's aiming for her first Ironman finish. Her journey hasn't been without its challenges as she overcame an eating disorder that nearly claimed her life. This pivotal experience shaped her mission to help others achieve their health and life goals. As a vegan athlete, Laura shows the world that strength, confidence, and a sculpted body are achievable through a plant-based lifestyle. Her belief in something greater than herself, combined with her love for fitness and community, drives her to continually inspire those around her. When she's not coaching or training, Laura enjoys spending time with her pup, Rogue, exploring the outdoors and mentoring youth. Fresh off her first Half Ironman just yesterday, with lots of learning and celebration, Laura joins us today to share her incredible journey. Let's dive in and hear from this remarkable athlete who embodies the Yogi Triathlete spirit every day. Laura, welcome to the show.
Wow. Thank you so much. I've always been curious, what would Jess and BJ, how would they ever introduce Laura whenever I listen to your podcast? Because your introductions are amazing. You know so much.
No. I know, right? How did I find all that out?
No,
the World Wide Web.
Yeah, it is a privilege. I'm so excited to be here and to be sharing my journey with all of you and whoever's interested in learning. This has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it has been quite the journey already, and it's not even scratching the surface yet. But before we get too deep into the whole experience that you had while it's fresh in your mind, what did you feel when you crossed the finish line yesterday? Put us in that moment of everything that you maybe had to go through or have been going through, and being able to just cross the tape. And what did you experience? What did you feel?
Oh, man. I was grateful that it was done. No, what was really nice was it was a very hilly course, and all the way to the finish line was downhill. But there was a big uphill before that downhill. But no, it was just the people that were still there, so present. There was a lot of really amazing athletes. I feel there were pretty incredible athletes that were there, seemed pretty experienced. And as I was leaving or heading in, some of them were coming out of the park because it was held at one of the state parks in Minnesota. And they were honking and waving and cheering me on. I'm like, this is even better than having had a parade of athletes just honking at me. And the announcer was phenomenal. Just all the volunteers at the end, just super stoked for me. It was just, it was overwhelming of a feeling of gratitude. And it was just, the whole day was so easeful in a way that was spiritual for me. Even though there's physical discomfort, it's just I just knew that I can do uncomfortable. But the spiritual connection was worth all of it. It just, I felt like I was growing spiritually the whole time and mentally the whole time. And that I've put in the work. I think that was what I really, truly stopped to focus on, was when I got done, I was like, I did the work. I wasn't falling over. I wasn't feeling like death. I was like, I just wanted some plain water because I was salty in my mouth and so much sugar. I just wanted to brush my teeth and drink water. But no, it was really, I think that was probably what I noticed the most, was that I put in the work. I listened to my coach. I asked the right questions. I prepared myself. I did the little things mentally every day, and it added up.
So you and BJ have been working together for a long time, over a year, I think, right? So for somebody who is, looking to go this long distance of Ironman, which you still have yet to do, but you will be completing that distance in November. What do you have to say about first of all, is it been about a year and a half now, I think, that you guys have been working together? And what do you have to say about that year and a half that got you ready for this 70.3? Because this is your second triathlon ever, and your first one was a sprint. Just having that time to prepare, because your training with BJ didn't always look like swim, bike, run.
No. In the beginning, it was a lot of mental work. It was a lot of getting my body used to moving again. So I was an Olympic weightlifter, did CrossFit, did bodybuilding for figure competitions. I kind of dabbled in absolutely everything. And Olympic lifting probably for me was the most athletic, because it's power, speed, it's fast, you got to be flexible. And then I went into just recently, before starting, I got into powerlifting, which I started feeling really stiff, very, very strong, but really stiff and slow. And I would get out of breath just walking to the grocery store. Plus, I was living in Colorado. But I just, from Minnesota to Colorado, just the air difference and elevation, that just, it definitely took it took my body a while to adapt to that. Now I'm back in Minnesota. But anyways, the thought of what I had to do was, I sat at a desk for the first time in my life for almost 4 years, where I used to coach in person. I was on my feet all the time, even in veterinary medicine. So I was not used to sitting for long periods of time. So I started sitting a lot, and I started lifting really heavy and not doing other athletic movement besides yoga, which I'm grateful for, because that would have been awful if I didn't have that in my life. But I had to get out of the mindset of different stressors, different life circumstances, different challenges, but also my body just didn't want to move. Everything hurt. It hurt to walk over 500 steps a day. It just was a lot. And then the stress of lifestyle changes, moving. I was just missing my light. And that was our main focus when we started working together, was that was so important to me, was connecting to my light, my spirit, my true, my reason of serving life and going out and helping people. I needed to find and rekindle that and find the fire in me again. I knew it was there. It just felt so closed off. I felt so boxed in, like a lion in a cage, and I needed help just getting her out again to become that athlete that I knew I was capable of being. And why not endurance? I used that as a self-limiting belief for a long time, that as a strength athlete, that I couldn't be fast or I couldn't be an endurance athlete. Weightlifters don't run, we lift and then sit on, and we hope our plates are big enough to sit on in between each set so we can rest 2 minutes before we got to hit it again. So it's just that thought of, I told myself for so many years I couldn't run long distance because I was a weightlifter, and I wanted to prove that wrong. So a lot of the work was mental and spiritual, especially in the beginning, was just getting the environment set up for success, getting my mind set up for success, reconnecting to what was possible. And my whiteboard was wiped clean, and I needed to figure it out again. Yeah.
BJ, when Laura came to you with this background of like strength, but no endurance engine, we'll just say like zero endurance engine, how were you excited about that? Were you a little intimidated? Was it a challenge for you? How did you meet that?
I think both. I think it'd be foolish to say I wasn't a little scared. But the nature of where I am now as a coach and an athlete is to, when you feel those emotions or feelings, like that's exactly where your next growth point is. So I knew that I had tools necessary to help athletes or guide athletes to endurance. This was going to take just a little bit of a different twist. But I was excited for the opportunity. And I think once we talked, I think we had that first call, I was like, man, this is going to be pretty amazing. Mindset and strength already already developed. And now all we need to do is just bump up the ability to shift just a little bit longer without losing the person you are as an Olympic lifter, as a strength athlete. Because in my experience, I've seen it go, if you're either a strength athlete or you're an endurance athlete, and they can't really cross over too much. And those that have struggle. And so I see that as like, well, wait a minute, that can't be true. Like that, there's got to be a way. And you've been demonstrating that. You've just dove right in. And I think the biggest element, I'm sure we'll get to it, is swimming. Being able to familiarize yourself with an environment that is so not familiar. Like you are literally pushing weight, like having resistance, and that is your feedback. And then you get into a body of water that it's supporting you fully, and you have to find where you can get any sense of resistance in the water, which sometimes you don't have any. You're like, I don't feel like I'm moving at all. How can that be? I can deadlift whatever and bench press this. But I think that to me is like, that's true growth. That's like expansion. That's like, and you talked about it, like taking that limiting belief and blow it up. Blow it up, find out what is possible. So I saw it as a very challenging opportunity, exciting. My fear or doubt or lack always has been shifting lately to excitement. I'm super excited to see where this can go. And I think we're both on board for that.
I think what was super helpful is I felt like we really connected. And when we were introduced, it was just a good match of personality, of the spiritual side of things for me, somebody who understood that for me, that we just connected really well. And I think the nice thing about being an athlete and a coach for so long is I understand that side of it too. of that connecting and the importance of being open, being vulnerable, sharing the difficulty with your coach. I understood how to ask questions and not be afraid, and to really be raw and vulnerable as an athlete, and how important that is in connecting and learning, and also the body awareness. I would say a lot of things like I was seeking, what is it supposed to feel like? Because I know what this feels like. And then I would start to relate what I would feel in a lift to how it felt in the water or felt on the bike. Or like one of the cues was like, it feels like a leg press, or it feels like a pull, or you'd feel the scoop. Or so I was seeking a feeling that I could compare it to find it, because it was so new. And I just knew over time how to be patient. I didn't learn to do a lot of what I did in a year. And I love how BJ and you're just constantly telling me you have to earn the right, and it has to be easeful at the same time. There has to be this kindness to yourself, kindness to the sport, kindness to everything involved. It has to be easeful discomfort, finding the limits, never giving up, constantly showing up with whatever it is you have. And that comes with years of being an athlete and not giving up and showing up and willing to learn and willing to fail forward, or, not get the lift. And it's the same. I can take what I've learned through that sport and bring it here, which has been really helpful. But I think the ability for me to be a mature athlete and to really be vulnerable and to just really share my concerns, fears, excitements, and just lay it out there so that you can guide me, and then trust you and trust the process and move forward with what you're telling me to do and give it a shot.
Yeah. You talk about being a mature athlete and being vulnerable. Have you in the past been a gritty, like, I'm going to push through this and then see what happens, and find out that you pushed a little too hard?
Yeah.
Is there that, Laura, too?
Absolutely. Years ago, I ended up, I'd say through my first 10 years, before I went through eating disorder treatment, even, I had some injuries to my spine, lower back injury, but I ended up with a cervical injury that left me unable to lift. And the doctors told me I'd never lift again. That just wasn't an option for me. It took me 10 years to come back to PR all my lifts and to hit the platform again. So I just knew it didn't matter how long it took. It just mattered that I kept finding a way. And I think that taught me a lot. That injury taught me so much, that there is a way, and to never give up, and to keep searching and build the right team of people to support your beliefs. And the most important is that you have to believe in yourself. But yeah, I used to just push through pain, thought more was better, versus smart is better. Train well, train smart, listen to your body, not always the mind, right? So I can stop and say, is this my mind telling me that I should quit, or is this my body telling me I should quit? And really being respectful to my body, and not always listening to the craziness that can happen between the ears.
Yeah. And you just mentioned it, and I mentioned it in the intro because I found it in one of your bios, and I just wanted to touch upon it if you're open to it. This history with an eating disorder. For you, what was the turning point where you said, that's it, I need to change the way I'm living? What was the turning point for you? I know a lot of people struggle with this to all different relevant degrees. It sounds like yours was really extreme, but I'm curious if you'd be open to sharing that turning point for us.
Oh, absolutely. I think sharing my story has helped keep me healthy. I do a lot of talks and speak with the youth and adults about my story and my journey to healing, because that's not something everybody's experienced. And I think hearing somebody can make it through it gives people hope that it's possible. And that's, doctors can tell you, teams of people can tell you that you can heal from an eating disorder. But until sometimes, for me, it took hearing it from an athlete and a coach that they were able to heal, that helped me fight, helped me say, if they can do it, I can do it too. But it was this, I always felt leading by example was super important. I always got annoyed, to be honest, with coaches that were just kind of telling you what to do, but never did it themselves. Kind of drinking their coffee, leaning up against a piece of equipment and just being like, you got to do this, versus feeling like they were a part of it, feeling like they knew what it felt like. And I started to feel that way. I started to feel kind of like a hypocrite of telling people how to take care of themselves. I was in my early 20s at this point, and I struggled since I was 3 years old. How I know that was through all the counseling I did and working through what was actually happening and potentially, when it began and how to start healing from it. I started to seek help when I was 15. Unfortunately was told that it wasn't an eating disorder, that it was just depression, which they're both important to understand. But with that in mind, my mind just went off and I was like, I don't have a problem. And it just got worse and worse. And then in my early 20s as an athlete and as a coach, I wasn't healthy. I was starting to have little mini heart attacks. My heart was failing. It was just this point of I needed to make the choice to fight for my own life or not. And when I did, I went into treatment. They held me because I was having little heart attacks. They wouldn't let me leave the hospital. They could hold me for at least 72 hours. And I remember sitting there just being like, I am 20, I think I was 24, and I'm having heart attacks. My heart is failing. Like, how is this possible? I'm an athlete. And I just was like, I'm not anymore, how can I change this? How can I be the person that makes a difference? And then I just started thinking, if I get through this, if I can save one other person's life, it'll be worth a fight for my own. And then it became my mission. And I believe it was God in my life, that I just had this voice of, I knew you could get through this. So this is why we're here, because you're going to make a difference, because I know you're going to fight and and then I just got out of bed every day thinking I'm just going to stomp on Satan and show him who's boss. It gave me a reason to get up, gave me a reason to fight. And I was going to just not let him own my life anymore. Yeah. So, yeah. And it's made other hard things in my life not feel so hard. Mm-hmm. And I think weightlifting was a big factor of my life too. If I say that now, I feel like weightlifting helped save my life. It gave me something to fuel my body for. It gave me something to care about my body, my mind, and help me connect to my spirit. Weightlifting was a big factor. It gave me something to look forward to, something I enjoyed, something I had to fuel my body for. So yeah, I think if I didn't have that passion as an athlete and that fire as an athlete, it would have been much harder for me. My faith and my ability to work hard in the gym, like that fire, that tenacity to do amazing things physically, and then the spirit part, for sure.
And how do you feel like your body has recovered? Has it just been full forgiveness from the inside, like your organs, your heart, or are there still things that you need to tend to and care for because of the history that you've had?
Yeah, after my injury, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and autoimmune. It runs in my family. My mom, unfortunately, is struggling now with lung failure due to rheumatoid arthritis. So it's kind of taken over her whole body. So I think of that. I've always wanted to be vegan. That was a big factor. But when I really started to understand healing of autoimmune and doing my own research and the importance of plants, and I only knew that I had to forgive myself for how I treated my body, and I had to move on, and I had to do the best I could with what I could do now and the choices I could make today, and not get upset at myself every time. I'd be like, well, if you would have fed your body better, if you would have not abused it in the gym, if you wouldn't have pushed it this way. Well, it was my journey, and it's how I had to learn. Mm-hmm. And I think it helps me because I've embraced it. It's helped me become a better person and better coach. So I wouldn't change it, but I definitely can feel that I did not treat my body well as a youngster. I think recovery-wise, I always think of this too, man, where would you have been as a weightlifter if you would have ate all that food? And then even now, like just taking in all the carbs and I'm a carb fanatic. Like I think carbs are important. I am also a big believer in protein. But I'm a big believer in all of it now. I love to eat, but I am like shocked with how much I drink. I feel like I'm drinking Kool-Aid and juice, like just so much sugar that I've had to like come back and say, no, it's carbohydrates, it's fuel. Like even the mindset around fueling my body now, I can see I've done the work and that I understand the conversation. I have to step back into the mind and say, okay, what's real here? And food is fuel. And so there's still little moments where I'm still healing that I think through the fight, I skipped over some things. And when I get challenged, some of those things that I hadn't completely healed from come back in. And now that work gets to get done instead of being like, oh man, not another thing. I'm like, no, you're ready to heal from this now too. And that's just part of the work. Yeah. So yes, I still have some effects, but I just say, how can I be my best self with what I have? And how can I continue to heal my body the best I can?
So how's the gratitude factor right now for your body after what you did yesterday?
Oh, so good. I was surprised how quickly I got sore. Afterwards, I did have a little over an hour drive, and I was like, okay, can't be driving after the full Ironman.
No,
because I was like, am I going to have to get out and stretch and then get back in? My glutes were pretty sore. But I recovered fairly well. It was hard to get up the steps a little bit and kind of, get around, but I just kept moving. I knew stretching and yoga and hydrating and fueling my body, and took in some electrolytes right away this morning. And, I didn't feel like eating. I think that was kind of I just didn't want food, but I ate and tried to find savory things because anything sweet really didn't, seem to want to. No, nothing sweet. I had enough sweet. Yeah. So I'm grateful. It did well. And I was thinking about that throughout the whole day, like being very grateful of how far, from being able to hardly walk when we started the distances I needed to starting to run last fall, to feeling like everything hurt. My feet hurt, couldn't find the right shoes. Like it really wasn't the shoes. It was my body just needing to earn the right to run and to figure it out and train the feet, train the body to run well and get used to, I like BJ, you said the neural body connection, reconnecting again, I think was really what it needed. And I could feel that throughout the whole day that I put in the work to be able to connect to that. And same with as the day goes on, just feeling more and more recovered as the day goes. I feel better. So I think I'm going to recover pretty well from it.
Yeah, it takes time for those wire endings to kind of like re-solidify themselves and reconnect. And I think that's, as we were working together, like patience was a big part of it. Like just be patient. It's going to happen. We'll find the right shoes eventually. And we did, for now. But that is a good practice, like owning up to, like, we can search for all these things outside of us, but it really is like, it's our structure. It's paying attention to what you're doing and feeling those things that you talked about, and then addressing each area as needed, not looking outside for, well, I need to get this pair of shoes in order to be successful. It's a part of it, But there's a big part of like the structure and patterns that we've developed over the years constantly. So yeah, running for you, definitely. And also cycling. You know, we worked through a lot of cycling. I remember you couldn't sit on a bike for more than 30 or 40 minutes at a time. And that's normal. So it's completely normal because you're in a different position. Even if you rode a bike when you were a kid, it's not the same. But now you're out there riding like 3 and 4 hours at a time. And the feedback, and I think this is good for the audience, is it doesn't have such of an impact on your structure anymore. Like your body is adapting and continues to adapt as you ease yourself into the distance and the effort. It just takes time and patience.
And I think part of it is the learning to control the body, learning to control the pedal, learning to not shift in my seat, learning what my core should be doing easily instead of forcefully. Same with running, not being so tight and tense, and where is it most comfortable to make sure that my legs are landing where they're supposed to, and I'm in a nice, comfortable, relaxed, upright position, yet still activated and and pushing through the ground and feeling it correctly. And it takes, I think I think I learned this the most in the swimming, that wrong feels worse. And weightlifting is the same way. I would get more sore from my failed attempts than I would from my good attempts. Like it's a little more uncomfortable on the body when the body's not in the right position. So if there's, over time, I think it puts a little bit more wear when you're not always in the right position and it aches a little bit more. But the only way to find the right position is to understand what's wrong. And it was 3 new sports really for me. Not that I've never ran before. I did sprints and I did 5Ks and I've done 1/2 in my life, but it's not that I focused on long distance. Sprinting is very different than a long distance. Slow in absolutely everything to me. Like I went from speed, short, quick, done to all day pace is very different on the body and the mind, and getting comfortable moving slow, but again, earning the right to be able to move faster. So moving slow, being able to move slow through the water, to control the pedals and move slower versus thinking I gotta go fast all the time. Same with running, just getting comfortable moving slow has taught me how to move well, even though it was sore. I wasn't always moving great in the beginning, but again, now I know, and I've gotten stronger with good foundation is how I feel.
But you've had that open mind, the beginner's mindset, jumping into the pool. Was it you the first time you went to the pool? You just kind of went to the pool, kind of like scoped it out. Like tell that story.
You even put it in Training Peaks. You're like, walk into the pool room, walk through the locker room, walk into the pool, scope it out. That was my swim session, was just get into the environment and walk out. And I ended up having an army of people. So I did hire a friend. So I did scope out the pool, finally found a pool, and hired a friend who worked there, who was a guard as well as an instructor. And she took me into a private session and just got me into the water, felt the water. I mean, all of it, like what swimsuit? I couldn't find a swimsuit that fit me. Like, what goggles do I do? What's gym etiquette? How do you put these swim caps on? Do I shower? Like, I had no idea how to the etiquette of a swimming pool. I mean, put me in a gym anywhere and I'll figure it out. But I had no idea the etiquette and how to present, like how to be. What's the rules, I guess, of sharing lanes and all these different things I've had to learn. But being able to have that friend help me just be by myself in the water was super helpful. And then I went to my first lap swim and I swam half the lane because the guard was like, maybe you should just do half. And then I remember walking out there, I'm like, I totally could have done the full. And then every time I stepped into the water was a learning experience. And there was fear of the water to now love of the water. And just every day was just show up show up, do what you can, have an experience is what you'd always say, to just let's see what the experience is today. And yeah, it was 25 yards to my first 50s to being like, I'm never going to be able to do hundreds. Just all these things. I've listened to podcasts that you recommended multiple times, like every 3 months, to pick up new information and to hear it as I get more experienced and learn from it all the time. Yeah, I think you have to build off of a foundation, and you just have to keep showing up. You have to be okay being different. You have to be okay not knowing. Otherwise you'll never know. And I think that's just, it didn't matter what other people thought of my goals. It mattered what I thought, and I showed up. And then what I realized is everybody there was cheering me on. Absolutely everybody there, as I started to keep showing up, and people would comment on how much I had improved, to like even joking that I should have gotten half price for the first session since I was only swimming half of the lane. Yeah. It's now one of my favorite things to do, which it went from being some days not looking forward to it, but just showing up anyways, to, yeah, I enjoy my swim days.
What is it about the water that you love so much? Because in your race report from yesterday, the swim was your favorite part of the race. And so for somebody whose first swim session was to walk through a locker room and look at the pool, to now doing your first half and saying that was my favorite part, what is it about the water that you love so much?
I think the biggest thing from being a weightlifter is you can't muscle water. You can't force it, and nor can you. Really, it's about technique in weightlifting too, and it's a dance with the bar, and it's being connected with it. I just had to transfer that over to the water, and being calm as an athlete is super important. Highly focused, knowing that you always got it, and it was just finding this. It's the connection with nature. I think you can't get any closer than being in the water, submerged and just surrounded by nature everywhere, on your skin, the air you breathe. It's just, so it's hard for me to actually get into the lap pool because I have started to fall in love with open water so much, which is phenomenal. I feel like I'm in a box in the pool. When I get into the open water, it's just, yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. It was surreal when I saw the lake yesterday morning. It was 43 degrees outside, and I'm in my puffy, my wetsuit. I got my puffy on, and I'm looking out on the water, and it's foggy. It's so foggy and beautiful. And you can see the Minnesota trees just surrounding the lake. It's one of the most beautiful areas, the Stillwater area. There was pine and birch, and the whole lake was just surrounded by the woods. And it was quiet and calm, and you couldn't even see the buoys. There was so much fog. And there was so much peace in that. And I could have been freaked out, like, how am I going to see? And I'm like, I'll just figure it out. And it was just so calm and beautiful. And the water was warm, so it felt so good to get into it. I think that was also kind of like like it was welcoming. And so that made it a really good experience. I couldn't wait to get in the water because it was warm. And then it was just calm. It was just, you have to be present. You have to focus on one stroke at a time. And the best, every time I looked up, I could see the tree line. And it was amazing. I want more of that.
I want more of that. So I have two questions. One, what was your anchor to presence? Like you talked about one stroke. So how did you not wish it to be done or wish to be further along? Like what brought you back into the moment each time? Was it your counting? Was there a mantra?
Long, strong, and calm has been with me since day one. And be present, be right here, right now. Constantly brought me back to you told me something when I was out in California. The first time we trained, I get to meet both of you in person, which was absolutely incredible. And that open water swim, I mean, jumping in my first open water swim in the ocean makes jumping in the lake for me feel like nothing. So that was helpful. But we were on a bike ride and we were doing hills. And I can't remember if they were 1 mile stretches. They were like really steep hills. And we did it twice. And I was honest that if I did it a third time, I'd probably throw up on my bike. And I don't remember if it was 1 mile. I don't remember.
It was 1 mile. Yeah. Okay. College.
Felt
college
like 5, but it was 1 mile. And we were getting it. And I wanted to muscle it because that's what I like to do and just crank it into a gear that I could just muscle my way up. And you're like, nope, we're going to do really low cadence. You're going to spin those legs or high cadence. And we're going to beam it up this hill, spinning your legs the whole time. And I started whining like a baby and I was huffing. And you said, don't wish this moment away. And I stopped and you're like, just smell the air or just be here. And I just took this big gulp of air in and it was all jasmine. And I stopped and realized that I'm in California riding the coast with these amazing people. Like, no, I don't want to wish this away. And that has stuck with me in absolutely all day yesterday is don't wish this away. Look around, feel the wind. Like I would cry. It was just feel the water. It wasn't about being the fastest or the best. It was about feeling what was possible and being one with something that was much greater than myself. It was incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. And if you're listening to this and your eyes aren't welling up, then
I don't know what's wrong.
Give us a call. Let's have a discovery call.
So
that's amazing. Wow. Thank you.
My next part to that is now how did you not think about the Ironman while you're doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're swimming, you're like, this is awesome. Like, this is amazing. I could keep going. And then you're like, well, wait a minute. I have an Ironman, so I need to keep going eventually. So how did you keep not focusing on what double the distance, but being in the moment yesterday?
The swim gave me I think having such a successful swim, because it really was successful for me. Like it was always a PR. Once I made that first loop, it was a PR. The whole day was a PR.
Right,
the experience, showing up, going, like I went by myself, which was an experience in itself. Getting up so early, just meeting people when I was there. Everything was a PR, which helped. And when I got done with the swim, I felt like I could have kept going. So that just gave me, I wasn't even thinking about a full at this point. It just was very inspiring. Plus, it was super cold when I got out of the water. So I couldn't think about anything else besides how am I going to warm myself up as much as possible before I get on the bike. But it started to hit me probably at mile 30 on the bike and then mile 40. And I was giggling throughout because I was like, I have a podcast I got to talk to or talk to my coaches tomorrow on a podcast. I have to get through this. And I could show up and say I didn't make it. So that was really motivational for me. But then I would joke around as little things came into mind. Like, I definitely need more squirrels, nut butter prior to hopping on the bike because starting to feel it. And I'm definitely going to share some of these things on this podcast of what I learned. And that was one of them. And at about mile 45, somewhere around there, I had maybe 14 miles left. There was a Biffy, and I should have stopped and used it because mile 10 on, even if I could have, I was thinking of this on a full, would I be able to pee while I'm on my bike? Like, could I actually go to the bathroom while I was on my bike? And I know you and I've talked about this, BJ, because I'm like, how do people do all this? Like, you're racing, you're trying to go as fast as possible. I know what happens. Like, these are things I don't know. I do not, like, I'm learning the sport. And we've had a lot of real conversations about what happens for all athletes, female athletes in comp and in a race. And I was thinking that, like, if I'm not in it to win it today, I don't really have to go to the bathroom on the bike. It would warm me up. But even I think if I wanted to, I was like, felt like I was peeing in public, and I don't think I could have, even if I wanted to. Like, those things were coming to mind. I was like, so I ended up waiting, and it became kind of motivation just to get me to the transition as fast as possible. But I did have those thoughts of like, man, my legs are burning. I know this course is really hilly. I'm not quite sure what Arizona is going to be like compared to this, but it's making me stronger and it's preparing me for Arizona. That's all that matters. That I trust my coach. He knows it's possible. I believe him and it's possible. That I need to focus now on what needs to be done right now, because it's making me better and growing me. Focusing on Arizona is not getting me through today or through this moment. And I was realizing that then I'd look around and be like, I'm not focusing on what's around me, the trees, the lakes, the ponds. It was absolutely beautiful. And I just needed it. Every time I wasn't in the present moment, little mistakes could happen. You start to drift off. You're not aware of the road. You're not aware of what's around you. I just needed to stay focused on the moment and just focus on my breath, focus on where my mind was taking me. Be here now, right here, right now. And not worrying about the pain in my legs. It was shift. Not worrying about any of the pain of having to go to the bathroom, of any of it. I just kept going back to what felt good, what felt right, that I get to be here. I don't have to be here. I've chosen to do something that I love, and that's being an athlete. I love training. Today I get to train all day long. IRONMAN Arizona, I get to train even longer. Like, I just kept, like, I'm doing something I'm passionate about, and I'm learning, and I get an experience, and I'm going to learn every stroke on the pedal. When I started running, I think that's where spiritually everything started to hit. Like, I couldn't wait to get off the bike. I really couldn't, but I really had to pee. I think that was the main reason. But I couldn't wait to get off the bike. I was cold. My toes were numb. That was probably the biggest thing, is it was a cold ride. It never got over 68. So most of the ride was pretty chilly in the 50s. High 40s, low 50s. And I wasn't, I could have thought about, like, I kept saying this too. The wind is for me. The cold is for me. Everything's for me. God is with me. I'm learning something from this. The world's not against me. The universe is not against me. The cold is not against me. I'm one with it. You've said that to me before, BJ, be one with it. Be one with the wind. Like, I just started to, everything, like, the cold is going to feel good when I'm on the run. So why would I be mad at it just because it's not at the timing I want it to be? It's not against me. It's the timing, and I can work with it. And when I got on the run, that's really the mindset I had. My feet started to burn. They were on fire from going from being super cold to starting to run. My toes went from freezing to on fire till about mile 2. And I was just really like, wow, I feel well. I don't have a stomach ache. I'm able to drink the whole time I started running. I started eating gummies at 30 minutes in. I'm like, okay, yeah, and you're going to have gels. I didn't have my gels, didn't come in time. That's my own prep issues. But I found a solution, and the solution worked really well. And I worked with what I had and knew that, things happen and you'll figure it out. And so it just felt like that was prepping me for Arizona. So I was also celebrating the wins that I wanted to take with me as I was going through the day of, okay, this is a win. We got to remember, take this with us. This worked. And then spiritually, I got through, it was mile 6, and I was in these woods. So we went down, we were mostly on pavement, and then we head down a gravel road and just surrounded by woods, very hilly woods. It was just a hilly day, guys. And I could hear the trees, and all I could hear was, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" And it was just very emotional for me that I'm talking to you through the trees, through the wind, through the gravel under your feet, that you're not alone, that I'm teaching you through these moments, that through the challenges I'm with you, and that you're going to grow. And the discomfort is not for nothing. And I think embracing all of that and hearing it and feeling it, and that the power I have to move the trees, the power I have in the wind, the power I have in the cold and the warmth and the sun is all yours. Through faith, through belief, through energy, through understanding, through connection, because I believe that I too have the power and the abundance meditation, the abundance of all of this energy is within you to be able to do this. You already have what it takes. And that just spoke to me. And mile 6 on was, I just was smiling and laughing with the volunteers and starting to name all my butt muscles, wondering if I still remembered all my anatomy. So I was having fun, and I was enjoying being with the people, but also being by myself. And I did this journey so I could connect deeper with my spirit. And it just happened the longer the race got.
So you've got Ironman Arizona coming up. What do you think, especially after yesterday being so fresh, what makes you why are you Ironman material, full Ironman material? What is it that has risen to the surface that allows you to know that this is something that is within your wheelhouse?
I can do uncomfortable. I can do uncomfortable. Discomfort doesn't scare me off, or I can do uncomfortable, and that in that discomfort I find peace. I never give up. I'll find a way. Whatever that day is supposed to look like. I'm not, we worked a lot on this too through the last year and a half, is I'm not attached to the outcome, but I'll do whatever I take to have the experience. But I'm okay with however that day, whatever happens that day. It doesn't define who I am. What defines who I am is how I show up and who I am as a person throughout it, that I can stay kind, that I can be a good human, that I can, walk tall through whatever circumstance happens, and truly just love. I think love myself, love the people on this journey with me, love the people helping me be successful, the volunteers, just truly shine love, and it'll work out the way it's meant to.
I can't wait till you do Ironman. This is what happens after a half. Man, full is gonna grow and expand you tremendously. Community. What can you say about the power of community, not only at your pool, at your gym, with Yogi Triathlete, with the people that you were with this weekend? What can you say about community and how it has influenced or kept you connected to something greater?
People need people. People need people. I think asking for help and being a part of a community gives us strength, helps us learn faster. I think having community makes us it definitely makes us stronger. And so when I say asking for help is a strength, not a weakness. And that is, you can be an individual, you can have goals, you can have ambitions and want to push to do great things. You're still the leader of your life. You're still independent, even in a community of people. They're just helping you get there faster. And you get to help them get to wherever it is they want to go faster. Having a community of people is a must for mental health. It's just to live life with others, to share your stories, to share the discomforts, to have somebody in your corner cheering you on all the time. But they grow you. Yeah. Our instinct when things are tough is to burrow. But the thing we need the most is to reach out and be a part of a community. I've learned that in many walks of my life. That people need people. Yeah.
And you are just such a perfect fit for this community, and just to see how much that you've grown since you've been here and everything that you've expanded into. But then, man, you guys doing this Ironman in November, we've got this group of people that you are going to be on the course with. And you're going to have others there that are not first timers, but you've got this group of first timers. By the time this podcast launches, we've already launched the group podcast. What are you most excited about with having your teammates, your community out there going through the same thing that you're going through on race day?
I'm super excited. I actually thought about that a lot on this race too, was, not really knowing anybody out there and feeling the crowd and the people that were there, just being so supportive, what it was going to be like to have a bunch of yogi triathletes there and that community just hollering at each other, seeing each other's kits, and just I can just feel the energy. I felt the energy when I was running yesterday, just thinking of that, of what that's going to feel like to be a part of a group like this in person, and pushing through something very challenging together, and reminding each other to keep going, and to, smile, and to see the light through all of it, and that they're not alone. Like, how important it is to be there for them as much as it is going to be for them to be there for me, and that we're all on different journeys and have a different story and have different reasons, and they're all beautiful, and to be able to support each other in that is incredible. I think, I can't remember who said it on the last podcast when we were all together, was something about, I don't know why I would ever want to do a full after doing a 70.3. And I thought of that and I started laughing.
Brendan.
Yeah, was it Brendan? I think it was.
Poor Brendan. We peer pressured him into an Ironman.
But I felt his pain a few times, and I was like, yeah. I'm like, why am I wanting to do this? And then I like, we'll focus on that later.
It's you're in for a real treat. You're in for a lot. But everything that you've said today is, you are perfect material for what's going to unfold on that day. And we're so grateful to be able to support all of you on that day. We're going to be, feet on the ground all day long, start to finish with you guys, and cannot wait. It's going to be quite a community celebration that day. And we've got people who are coming in that, aren't racing. They're just on the team, or they're in squad and they want to come and they be a part of this. So, yeah. And anyone who's listening to this that wants to come and just join our group and be there on that day, please do. These guys are going to need all of your love, and that is fuel. And yeah, Laura, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for being so honest and vulnerable and making me cry, I think 3 times. I really appreciate that. It's good to feel, we came here to experience all of it. And I think that is probably the biggest gift that Ironman gives us, is that you will feel all of it that day. You will have all the emotions, and how you show up in that moment is really what's going to be key. But you've got what it takes, and I can't wait to see it unfold. But I'm not going to wish this moment away. I'm going to live all of it until I get to be there and seeing you just realize this dream. So beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an absolute honor to be able to share my story, and I've had a hard time actually expressing it over the last year and a half too. So this is good. It feels like a privilege to be a part of this community, and you bring it out in me. So thank you. And I cried a lot too. I'm a crier.
It doesn't help with the breathing though.
No, I started to cry when I was running. I was like, I gotta pull this together. I can't breathe and cry and run at the same time.
Yes. Say, after you've crossed the finish line, for sure there'll be a breakdown, a breakthrough, whatever we call it, up level.
Breakthroughs.
But yeah, crying while you're out there on the run is just going to make it longer. Yes. Doesn't help with the breathing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Congratulations on yesterday.
So much.
Fantastic job. Yeah, great work.
Keep shining your light.
Yes. Thank you.